Welcome to Beyond Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Petrellis, and we are super excited for today's guest. I mean, if you've been checking out our social media today, and even over the last few weeks, you've kind of been seeing this guy pop up on the bottom of our screen here. But obviously, the guy to the left next to me, back on the podcast, John Sensabaugh. I've already said it a bazillion times, and I'll say it a bazillion more times. The best editor around, a big part of what we do here at Beyond, and someone who I am extremely thankful for that is a part of this and sees the vision. And now having him on the podcast is even more fun because you guys get to see his sense of humor too, which is I think even maybe better than his editing, which is editing is unbelievable. So you can imagine a sense of humor. But to the guy at the bottom of the screen here, this is Zack Thompson. Okay, he has been a huge supporter. You see, he's wearing a Beyond Podcast T-shirt here. He's been a huge supporter of us. He bought these T-shirts last year when we put them out there. I don't know him on a personal level, but it meant a lot that he reached out, messaged me, ordered shirts to see that people follow what we're doing and what we're representing here a little bit. It was really flattering and really humbling. So to see him wearing that shirt today is really nice, and was a big supporter of us in our cornhole tournament, I know. And then obviously what he's doing is super special. And we're going to be talking about that today. But we're here to support him. He's supporting us as a fan, and we want to give back to him and help him out. We're going to talk about what we're going to be doing with him a little bit. So without further ado, I said his name. I'll say it again. Zack Thompson. Welcome to the
Zack,
podcast, man.
nice to have you
Oh
on, man.
yeah. Great to be here. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah. John, what did you think of your intro? Pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Not too bad there.
I gotta get better. I gotta get better with you.
Yeah.
I gotta think of like a solid, like Heyman-esque intro for you.
Well, you built up the humor. Now now I gotta see what I can do here.
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Like it's like training for boxing. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, dude. Right?
Yeah, I don't do either one. I walk, so we'll see what happens.
Well, Zack, we're excited to have you on here, man. And as I said, I really did mean that. The support that you kind of showed us is really cool. And like I said, it is humbling when people were reaching out, especially for these t-shirts. They mean a lot to us, especially John and I. And to be able to kind of celebrate that and put that awareness out there to see someone wearing it that we put it on social media is cool. That's cool. So thank you.
Yeah.
But you're boxing. I mean, we're going to talk about you doing Haymakers for Hope, which is May 8th, if I'm correct, right? May 8th.
May 9th.
May 9th. Oh, I should have wrote the date down. May 9th, but we're going to be there covering you. So I got to make sure I get that date right. But we are going to be there covering you, obviously leading up to the fight. Leading up to it is awesome, and being able to catch all that. We've done that before, but let's rewind a little bit. You're doing this for a special cause. I'm going to kind of give you the floor here a little bit. Talk about what you're doing, what you decided to do, and we'll dissect it as you tell us, man.
So I came into this world. My wife's good friend, Gus LaBelle, he's an alumni of Haymakers. He fought, I want to say 3 years ago in the Boston event. And that was when my mother was sick with cancer. And right away, I went on the computer and I typed in Haymakers for Hope. I wanted to do this. And believe it or not, I applied 3 years in a row and I didn't get accepted until this year. And the whole reason I have two really important people in my life, one being my mother. I lost her in September of 2020 to lung cancer that spread to the brain within 2 weeks. And they gave her 6 months and she lasted almost a solid, like I'm talking quality of life for cancer, 3 years. So I had my time to, not necessarily say goodbyes, but to do things. Because some people, they get hit with that C word and it's over. So the other one is my wife's great aunt, Shirley. We call her Auntie Nana. She never had kids of her own, but she was like the mother of all mothers, aunt of all aunts, however you want to put that. She just loved the kids. And we were the first ones to have kids in the family out of my wife's siblings. And she took them in as like they were her own. And that's why we called her Auntie Nana. And she passed in 2018 to pancreatic. And you want to talk about getting hit with the word and then being gone. She didn't even stand a chance necessarily. And I was very close to her. She loved me for some reason. I don't know why, but she loved me. She had a lake house. She's like, come up whenever you want. The key's here. And those two people are the main reason. And I don't want to leave these people out. And I kind of have throughout the process because like you have to, keep everything kind of short. But My dad is one of 16, believe it or not.
Wow.
Same mother, father, and they have lost every single one of their siblings to cancer. So that's cancer has really hit home for my family. And on top of that, throw everything out the window. I had, if my family wasn't affected by cancer, I would do it just the same reason I bought this shirt. Anything for the kids, anything for something that is, you know, a donation to a charity, something that is there to help kids that don't have the privilege. And I remember I played three sports in high school: football, basketball, baseball. The same coach, same varsity coach for all three sports. And I can remember we were in double sessions in football camp, and he pulled us aside because we were dogging it. And he goes, you know, how do you think kids feel that are in Shriners, or kids that can't even think about even walking, talking, or even having the opportunity to play this game? And you guys are out here complaining because you're out in the beautiful weather and the conditioning is hard. And that I
Mm.
remember that to this day, like it was fresh in my memory. Like anything for the kids, adults, whatever it is. I'm just a huge, huge believer. There was a kid in Medford, and I'm going to say this kid's name wrong. I don't even know if I want to say Marino was the last name.
Yeah,
They came out with a shirt,
Derek.
D team.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
Same thing. Don't even know the people. And I'm not from Medford. I'm from Salem, Mass. My wife's from Medford. I've been here for like the last 10 years. And I bought two shirts. Didn't even
Wow.
know the person. I just to support. It's the, in my eyes, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've always, liked a challenge, something that didn't come easy, because football, basketball, baseball came easy to me.
Well,
And
let me ask you this then, because I mean, obviously, and I didn't realize this process, but you mentioned having to apply three different times. Like, what's the application process like that you get denied? Because obviously, this means a lot to you, and like you keep applying and applying and applying. Like, how grueling is that type process, and what is it that they're looking for? In this
so
case, denying a little bit.
So I don't, I can say for me personally, it's a pretty extensive application, so to speak.
Yeah.
They ask you why you want to fight. And one of the biggest things about being selected as a fighter is, raising a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
So like my fundraiser goal, and that's the fundraiser goal for everyone in this fight. I'm not sure if it's uniform throughout, because they're in Denver, they're in Philly. I want to say they're in New York. They're expanding more and more. Like they do not only the boxing, but they do like polar plunges, they do
Yeah.
marathons, they do golfing, they do a bunch of different things. But like one of the biggest questions they ask is, how are you going to raise this money? And my answer to that was, well, I'm a union laborer, and you're on a big job, and I wish I had it with me. I don't, but I made a QR, they made a QR code for me. And then I put like a pamphlet together with a picture of me, why I'm fighting, what Haymakers is about.
Yeah.
And then, they ask you if you have an athletic background, if you have any boxing experience, which they really don't want you to have boxing experience.
Yeah.
And then they ask you like, what, so you say I'm at 205 when I started.
Hmm.
What's your target goal? What are you going to do to change, your diet, your training, and
Oh,
how are you going to
damn. So it's
prepare and be
like,
ready?
okay. Yeah. So it's
So,
like legit making sure that you are a healthy enough human being to
correct.
really do this.
Yeah, so believe it or not, you hear charity and like even friends from work, they're like, dude, it's an amateur fight, like blah 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 blah. It's a US sanctioned bout. Like you have to go through the whole process,
Wow.
get the physical. You got to make sure if you're a certain age, like I think it's after 36 or after 40, you have to have a whole nother in-depth like physical, so to speak, to make sure you're fit to box.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they'll set you up with a gym in the area that will train you. So like they have all these gyms that are donating their coaching, their expertise, their time. Like for example, I have two coaches. I originally got set up with this guy. He owns a personal fitness kind of and strength and conditioning place across from Somerville High School called CB Fit, Chris
Yeah.
Beloste.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I know who
hope
you're talking about. Yep.
I hope I didn't say his last name wrong.
I don't know his last name, but I know who CB Fit is through Instagram, truthfully. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So he was where I started, but he doesn't have a ring. So like I was doing like pad work and core workout and cardio workout with him, and then he introduced me to his coach because he used to box with Eric Grossman. He's been involved with a lot of gyms, but he owns his own gym now called Citadel in downtown Crossing. It's a
Okay.
mixed martial arts gym, but this guy has like old school fighting background. Like I'm talking, went overseas and took classes and the whole
Yeah, like
nine.
really study the
So
art. Yeah.
so I have, not only do I have Chris that I go to usually twice a week, and then 3 days a week I'm going to Boston, and 2 days of the week we'll do like pad work. We're always doing cardio. We're always doing certain stretches,
Hmm.
and then Friday night is the killer. It's the end of the week, and we're sparring 6 4-minute rounds. Now, the fight is 3 2-minute rounds.
Okay.
And originally I'm like, all right, this is nothing. Like I used to run distance. I played college baseball as a pitcher,
Yeah, dude,
and
it's not. Yeah.
boxing cardio is a whole nother
Yeah.
level. So this is actually kind of funny because like my first full week, my training, and I'll get into this after, kind of took like bumps and bruises along the way, big time. Like, so I'll just get into this now first. When the weather turned, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ride my bike to Wellington, hop on the T going to Boston. Got hit by a car in the crosswalk on my bicycle on the way.
Oh, jeez.
So that sidelined me. Then I came down with the flu for the original media sparring day that
Yeah,
it
because we were
wiped
gonna
me
come
out.
cover you that day. Yeah, yeah,
Correct. And that wiped me out. I was like down and out for 10 days, and then my cardio was shit. It was
yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
And then my father-in-law passed away suddenly. So then I missed training. They were like literally along the lines like, dude, do you think you're gonna be ready to do this fight? Do you want to just come back next year? And like they
Yeah.
were set on like making me pull out. And I messaged my coach in the morning, the next morning. I'm like, dude, I couldn't sleep. Like, I'm got a lot involved in this already. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put myself in a position where I'm not ready for this fight. I'm gonna put in the work
Yeah.
that needs to be done. So my first full week, so mind you, I'm working a full-time job.
Right, right.
I have three little ones at home that are in
Bless you.
sports that I mean, you know, you got kids.
Right. Yeah.
And comes Friday and I'm going to spar 6 4-minute rounds. And I'll remember clear as day walking out of that gym. I called my wife and I think I was like literally in tears. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not doing this. This is too much. I literally could not keep my guard up. And it was just like I was like a bobblehead just getting
Yeah.
I was getting
Yeah.
destroyed. Like I swear to God, I was concussed. I had the worst headache for like 3 days. And needless to say, that didn't happen again. But like
Yeah.
cardio for boxing is totally different.
Worlds of difference.
And like
Worlds
the
of difference.
biggest thing is you gotta breathe when you hit, and you gotta breathe when you're taking a hit. And that's one of my biggest things is I'll be in the middle. Like I just sparred my opponent last Saturday,
Yeah.
2 2-minute rounds. And I remember at the end of the 2 rounds, I was like, dude, I didn't even breathe on a single punch.
Yeah.
And like I was gassed after that first 2 minutes. But so yeah, I mean it's an extensive application. There's
Man.
a lot of people. So what it is I think the biggest reason they get so many people to do it because it's so professionally run, like Haymakers, like
Yeah.
you get all this gear, they do all these professional videos and audio things, and
Yeah.
it's like a family. Yeah, you never had like there's an app that they use, you guys might have heard of it, it's called Slack. It's
No.
just like it's just an app where like you can put threads, you can message people, you can do group messages, send whatever you want. And
Yeah.
like these people that don't even know you from a hole in the wall, it's like they're like brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, whatever you want to call it. And like even the fighters, for example, like when I went and did my thing, my media day,
Hmm.
right when you show up, hey, what's up, Zach? Dude, I seen you on Instagram. Like you would think like I'm fighting this kid, you're gonna be an enemy, right?
Right,
But
right.
it's not. It's like you guys are like brothers,
Well,
sisters,
hold
whatever you
on.
want to
You
call
said
it.
you spot him. You said you spot him. I'm not having you talk any trash here or anything like that, but what would be your analysis of sparring him now, seeing your opponent a little bit, maybe a couple weeks, obviously before the boat here?
So what's funny is like we didn't find out who our opponent was until like halfway through the training. And like
Okay.
obviously that's in the back of everybody's mind, like
Who am I
who am I
fighting?
fighting? Who am I fighting? Because you want to size the dude up, you want to look at his profile and this and that. So I find out who I'm fighting, Ryan Kalloy, good kid, and don't know him from a hole in the wall. He's a few years younger than me. And on his profile it says he's 6'2", 200 something pounds. I'm like, all right, this dude's a little bit bigger than me and he just looks burly and he's a plumber, so he's in the trades like me.
Yeah,
I'm like, all
tough
right, this
dude.
dude's gonna
Yeah.
be correct. So then
Right.
I get to the gym and we're sparring at his gym. So I'm already like
Enemy
uncomfortable.
territory, boo
Yeah.
birds coming in, people throwing stuff at you.
Yeah.
I was
And
kidding.
like they got the camera set up and like
Yeah.
he's comfortable. He's in his home gym. There's another fighter, I want to say it's Ben Heller. I hope I didn't say that wrong. He's like the top dog. He's raised over like $180,000. He's got a
Wow.
very, very sad story, but like he's a dog. He's older guy, but he's a beast. And
Yeah.
he's in there, and I'm like, oh, great. Like all I got is like my coach. And so I'm like sizing him up, and I'm like, all right, he doesn't look as big as he says, but I'm nervous.
Yeah.
And I'm just working on like what my coach wants me to do come fight night. And there's a big thing called the adrenaline dump. So like your adrenaline's so high, so high, so high, you get all this energy, and then it's just like you're
Yeah.
gone. And that hit me right before like the end of the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm gassed. And I'm like, I want water, I want water. And all of a sudden, like 10 seconds. So I think it's like a minute in between the rounds.
Yeah.
So I go back out and I was gassed. So
Yeah.
I've been running distance, like thinking distance is the way to go, right?
Yeah.
But it's not, it's sprinting. So like
Yeah.
my coach, I go to Hormel
Yep.
and he gives me, I'm doing simulated rounds. So for 5 seconds, you sprint as hard as you can. For 10 to 15 seconds, you jog. And then for a minute, you just hold your hands up and breathe. And you do this until the 2 minute mark is up for the 5 and 10 seconds. The minute walking doesn't count. And then you do 5 rounds of that.
Yeah.
So like you think sprinting for 5 seconds is nothing, but do that to equal 2 minutes. It's you're
Now
gassed.
that's because fighting is more of these pockets of adrenaline that you need. It's not this.
Right.
It's not a marathon where you need this constant,
Correct.
adrenaline the whole time. Hockey
Yes.
player needs that constantly when they're on the ice. They're moving up and down,
Yes.
back and forth. A boxer's going to go in there and they need to, give it what they have. Rounds over, you sit back down. You got to build that right back up again. So it's probably just a constant, just marathon of
Correct. So
go, go,
like
go, go, go.
what they teach and they preach, now everyone has a different training regimen depending on the background of their coach and how they want to attack the fight. But like my coach, like he wants nothing less than a minimum of a 3 punch combo. So like I'll go in and I'll give 3 to 4 to 5 combo, and then they call it exiting. But you don't want to exit straight back. You want to exit away from the power hand because so like the judges, right? I go in there and I hit him clean with my combo and I go to exit and he clocks me on my exit, that washes away everything I just did. I get nothing. He gets nothing. So like
Is
that's the biggest
boxing
thing.
scoring bizarre? Like, because
I
I
don't
feel
really
like
understand it. I don't
covering,
understand it.
yeah, like
I don't think
I've
anyone
covered
does.
it, and like I covered matches at Sonny's, and I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
guy won, and then they raised the other guy's arm. I'm like, what? Like, I
Any
just like
any
don't
pay per
get it.
view I've watched, I'm like, oh, that guy killed him, and
Yeah,
then the other guy's winning the
Yeah.
round. I'm like, what the hell just
yeah,
happened
like
there?
10-9 the other way. You're like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, so
nuts.
I wouldn't say so much like haymakers and like fighting for charity and whatnot, but like these big time fights, there's a lot of politics involved.
Sure.
Like you think they're gonna let Mayweather lose to McGregor, or like you know what I mean? They're not
right,
gonna taint
right.
his record to that one loss.
No way.
And
Would
like
never happen.
When you were
I don't
describing like walking in, not knowing who your competitor was, who you were gonna be up against. Remember the movie The Fighter when he's like, "Oh,
yeah.
you're gonna be fighting Sal Mamby or whatever." Guy's been on the couch for months or whatever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then he gets in the ring. The guy's like all muscled up, and he's like, "I thought he's been on the couch for a few months." He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
I'd like to get that couch.
Well,
It's just
so
funny. Imagine looking across the ring and looking at someone that size, just like,
I
oh
know.
God.
that's my thing too. So like I have two other haymakers that are down at Citadel. One guy I'm down there with like 3 days a week, and the other guy just comes on Fridays for sparring.
Hmm.
And like Corey Gustafson, I hope I said that right. I've been training with him for a while now. And like
Yeah,
I hate sparring him because he knows my tendencies. I know his tendencies. And he's like my technique compared to him isn't as good, but like
yeah,
I'm the type that's like not afraid to hit or get hit. And I feel like he's the type that's like afraid to hurt someone because it's
yeah,
like we're teammates, so to speak.
yeah,
And he doesn't want to get hit. So like the first few times when he didn't know my tendencies, I was getting into him good and he didn't like it. But
yeah,
that Friday night, I told you, he just was drilling me in the head. Like if you got
yeah,
headgear on and there's these big padded gloves and like, to be honest, from all the training I've went through, like, cause I've sparred some Muay Thai fighters and stuff down there too.
yeah,
I haven't felt like I was hurt at all until one night, this kid, Ramon, he's also another fighter. He caught me in the liver. And
yeah,
like I felt it, but like it's not instant. It's like the few seconds after. And like you don't want to show that you're hurt, right? Because if you show that you're hurt, they're just gonna come at you.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing that has hurt me this whole time was getting that body shot. People think body shots are
Yeah.
nothing. Body shots are a lot.
I mean, look at
I'd say
Garcia when he
knockouts.
fought
Yeah.
Haney. Garcia got hit, and you saw it. Like he went for like a few seconds, then he went back down. Like that's
Yeah.
like you said, it's not instant. Like it is. It's one of those like 2-3 seconds later, like oh my god, you
Yeah, the
know.
You
liver
think
shot's serious.
there's no other worse pain than getting the wind knocked out of you. I
No,
No.
remember playing like hockey and the stick would go into your stomach. You
Oh.
felt like you were gonna die. You're like,
you're
oh
like
god, you're
healed
getting
over
cocked.
on the
Yeah.
bench,
And
like
then people they're trying to like ask you questions. Like, you all right? You're like, you good?
yeah. You're like,
But I
just your win,
100%.
just your win.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what I find amazing too, and you mentioned like the support and putting the barcode together and having the description. One place that I noticed on social media today is Jim's Market, which is a huge friend of ours. We do a lot of stuff with them and have a lot of fun stuff playing with them. But you had mentioned you're not from Medford, your wife is, but Jim's Market's like a staple in Medford, as you probably know,
Correct.
have been there a bazillion
Yep.
times or eating breakfast sandwiches, but or B-boy, sorry. But
Mhm.
you had like on their window, I think when you walk in, or maybe at some point
Yeah.
inside of there, they kind of were like supporting you and put it right up there for you, no questions asked.
So I was getting a little worried about raising the money, right? I was like, I had a quick hit at first, like was like 5 months to go. I'm like, all right, I got a good start. I had like 1,000 and change right off the rip when the donation started. And then come the past month or so, I'm like, my wife keeps getting in my head. She's like, you really gotta hit the street running. You gotta, get sponsors, blah, blah, blah. And my buddy, Matt Doherty, that is a is a professional fighter. I asked him and he's like, dude, go to local businesses and be like, listen, if you donate X amount, you'll put the business logo on like your walkout gear.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
what I did. And I messaged Jim's Market on Instagram and I just gave a quick brief story. The kid doesn't know me from the hole in the wall. He doesn't even know if I'm a customer in there.
Right,
Like
right.
he doesn't know me. And instantly he was like, this is my schedule. Come down here. I'll write a check. I went in there, I met him, I got some food, and I brought in the thing with the QR code just so like if he was going to use it to donate directly to the website or if he was going to write a check. He
Yeah,
ended up writing a check and he was like, hey, can I keep this? I'm going to put it in the store for customers to see.
yeah,
And like that just goes to show what kind of dude he is.
yeah,
Like
Yeah, he's
he's got a
awesome.
business he's got to run, and this day and age, everything's expensive. People don't have extra money, and he didn't even bat an eye. Wrote a check for 250 and was like all in. And he's like, let me know how it's going. He goes, is there anything more I can do? He's like, he was all about it. Like didn't
yeah,
even think twice, and that says a lot. Like even if I go down my list here, I'll do that later. But like, there's people that like I don't even haven't talked to in years
yeah.
and the second they hear cancer, donation, charity, they're all for it.
They're all
So
in.
like once I started going this whole like local business sponsorship route, like I have down here I have 18 people and that all came within like a month. And I'm talking like 250, 500, 100, 200, like and like I told people I wanted 250 to be able to put their logo. And then
Yeah,
like people that gave more, I would do like a bigger logo and let them pick the location. But like there's people that donated to like 50 bucks or like close friends that didn't donated small money. I'm still gonna put them on it. I'm not gonna like, dude, you only
yeah.
gave me 50 bucks. I'm not doing that.
Right, right, right.
But yeah,
Like you
that's
said
been a
though,
huge
everyone is affected by it. Every single person
correct.
has been affected with like it could be a direct family member, a friend, anything. Like everyone's been affected by it. So I mean, as soon as you say that, everyone's gonna open arms. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, I think it caught my eye because I lost my mom to cancer. So kind of seeing you do that and raising money for that. I know very early on, my family, we did a lot of different races and everything else to organize and
Yeah.
fundraisers. So I totally understand that when it's for a cause and it means a lot to you. So it's great to, you're carrying your mom's memory. And obviously, like John said, what you've said too, it's just, it runs through your family. There's a lot that's been going on with it. People that are affected by it every single day. Um, Back to the boxing end a little bit. Just kind of like a fun question. Do you have a theme song yet? Like,
I
do you know
do.
like what you're coming out to and like
I
rock and
do.
rolling with?
So and it's funny. So I'm actually going with my walk-up song for when I played college baseball.
Okay.
It's My Time by Fabulous.
Oh,
oh,
wow.
And
Whoa.
what's funny is so my kid played Little League last year for the first time.
Yeah.
And one of the parents like brought like the whole big speaker, the whole setup. He would announce our team coming up, and they had walk up songs, and my kid took that song. So
Oh,
like
that's
it's
cool.
kind of got like sentimental, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
my kid's like, oh, Daddy, put the song on. Like we'll be driving to hockey, baseball, whatever it is. Dad, can we put the pump up music on? And so yeah, that's what I'm going out to. I mean, I could have went a different route, but the chorus of it is just it's
Right.
perfect
I mean, you
because you
can't.
can only get 30 seconds. You know what I mean?
And it's
But
funny because I mean, especially some of the boxes that we covered Mike Bolger and like Katie Sapansky, who's Haymakers for Hope. She works for
yep,
them with them. Like their songs, like everyone's just different, you know, and it's something that just hits different of what it is. And some are more slow. I mean, some of them are slow songs, which
yeah,
surprises me a little bit. But everything has sentimental value as far as that goes.
That's the
correct.
power of music right there. Think about it. Think of like all those songs. Like people have different tastes and stuff like that, but there are certain songs I know for a fact. Like if I hear, I'll run through a brick wall. Like I'm ready to just take
Yeah,
on an army. Like you hear it, you're like, bring it on. Like
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
not getting in a ring anytime soon. But if you put a song on, I'll last a good 10, 15 seconds before I'm getting knocked
yeah.
out. But yeah, music's so powerful. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean
So
we do it at a recess when we walk out to play football. I always on my phone like have pump up music for like it's always girls versus boys, but I play QB for the girls team, so we like
yeah,
talk like so much trash going on. We always have like beat, but music is like it makes everything just a little bit more fun and gives you a little bit more
correct.
energy, you know. Um, but as far as boxing goes too, like what I'm interested in is like you said, obviously you have no background in boxing. It's not something you've ever done really, but going into this training and learning the difficult aspects of it that have been really difficult with the training. What was something you were pretty good at? Like maybe like your coach was like, wow, you're pretty natural at this, or maybe there's a way that you're fighting now or style that you're fighting just because you're naturally good at a certain style. I mean, I don't know boxing personally, but I'm guessing you look like a tough dude. You're in the union. Like I put on my social media, I wouldn't mess with you. Like I definitely wouldn't, and you look lean.
Yeah,
Obviously, you're eating right, you're training, like you're
yeah.
probably in the best shape of your life too. But was there something you were naturally pretty good at?
So day one, a lefty, right? So I
Yeah.
played all my sports lefty, but I write righty and I cut righty. So I'm doing this drill with Chris at CB Fit, my first day there, and he puts out the ladder, and I'm, doing a combo, stepping on the ladder, doing a combo, stepping on the ladder. You get to the end, and then you work your way back and do it.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting lefty because I'm a lefty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get to the end, and I'm gonna go come back up the ladder, and I like tripped over my feet. And I'm like, all right, that didn't feel right. So then I told him about like how like I'm a lefty, I played sports lefty, but I write righty and I cut my food righty. He's like, try righty. And I'm boxing righty. I
Wow.
switched right then and there. And to be honest, so like the amount of time we have is not the amount of time for anybody to get prepared for a fight.
Right. Right.
And you're also fast tracked, right? Like this guy's running a business. He has MMA class. He has a Muay Thai class. Chris got clients from like 7 in the morning to like 9 o'clock at night. Squeezes me in. So like there's only so much they can do and they can't focus on everything, right? Like
Right.
the
Right.
bobbing and weaving, like that takes a long to get good at that. That takes like a year. And so if I was to be completely honest, and so Eric down at Citadel, he's awesome. And
Yeah.
he's tells it how it is. So the first night we get down there and I'm like looking nervous. We're gonna spar. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get my headgear." He goes, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? Like we fight with headgear." He goes, for I'm sorry if I'm gonna swear on here. You're probably gonna edit it anyway, but
Yeah.
he goes,
No worries.
"I gotta see if you're a bitch and you can take a punch to the head or not."
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, cool. And to be honest, the one thing I think it's not even being good at. This is just like something that somebody has because like my feet work is still like it's getting better, but it's not good. I tend to throw my elbows out and not go straight down.
Mhm.
And the one thing that Eric said, and he said this to Julie, the founder, the lady who runs everything, when they were like talking about me backing out of it and coming back next year.
Yeah.
He's like, this kid is just a scrapper. He comes forward. He's as tough as nails. He's not afraid to get punched, and he keeps coming forward no matter if he gets his claw cleaned or not. So I
Yeah.
think that's the one thing that I have going for me. But one thing that he did say is like my uppercut. They love my uppercut, but it's technically like if you go mechanic wise, it's wrong.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because I throw it differently, like you're supposed to throw it from your chin, right? and I'm kind of coming down low with it. So like I could potentially get a hit before I
It's
land it.
susceptible to punch. Yeah.
But the few times that I've landed it in sparring, I've hurt people.
Yeah.
Like the kid Corey, I hurt his neck on it. The guy Ramon came down for the first time and he was like behind the 8 ball with sparring. He's in great shape. He's a personal trainer by trade. He owns
Yeah.
a business. And I caught him with an uppercut. And it was literally like he was running a marathon after that. He was like running away from me. And then we're in the middle of sparring last week. And we're like uptight. We're about to hug. Like we're both gassed out. He's
Yeah.
caught me with a couple good ones. I've caught him a couple good ones. And he whispers in my ear in the middle of the round. He goes, "I'm just trying to watch out for that uppercut." And I'm just like,
That's funny.
okay,
Good
like
to
way to
know,
like,
man. That's good to know. That's like a sign.
yes.
Someone's laying that sign to you. Like, use your uppercut when in doubt, use your uppercut.
And the thing that's hard, and what like I ask a lot of questions, and it's hard to like get in, like to land clean punches. It's hard. Like
Yeah.
there's certain things you can do, like so you'll purposely like throw a jab to move, like because you're taking guard, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'll throw a jab, like so if my guard's here, I'm putting a jab to hit the hand away and then coming with the cross and open his face up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a
Yeah.
lot of people, this is where the body comes in. So you get in tight and you start ripping the body, the hands are naturally going to come down. And that's when you throw the big hook, come over the top and get him. But honestly, you just have to go with what's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come fight night, you might not even do anything that you practice. Like a lot of it is like 1-2, 1-2, or 1-2, 3, or 1-2 uppercut, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like that might not be there, depending on the
Yeah.
way he's defending and the way the match is going. So you got to kind of just go with the flow. But I noticed in my sparring with the kid that I'm fighting, and I like to lead with a 1-2 jab to get in close so I can rip the body. Because my biggest thing, and I do it a lot, I try to lead with the body sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going like this, and you're putting your face out there to get knocked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why you do one jab, you step in, now you're tight, you throw another jab, and then you come down to the body. And I noticed with him, I wasn't even going to the body because I was throwing the one jab, and he was coming back with a jab at me, and I was taking the jab
Yeah.
because it doesn't hurt. And then his face was wide open.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it gets, because think of the real box.
Do you have
I'm not,
film on that? Like, do you go back and watch was that fight
yeah,
filmed against your
yes,
guy? Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
And like, well, this is another thing the coach said. He watched the film and he's like, dude, when you exit, you're dropping your hands completely down. And
Yeah.
like, I'm dropping my hands down because I'm tired.
I
Like,
was gonna say probably just gas, right?
but like, that's the biggest thing. And a lot of people, when they're taught or coached, is
Keep your
this
hands
kid
up.
might come in and rip your body, rip your face, whatever. You might throw a 3-4 punch combo. And now I'm exiting. You're taught to throw a punch when you exit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, especially charity, there's only so much you can work on that I'm going in. For example, I did it. I go in and I throw my punches and I'm exiting. I'm going like this. So he throws a hook or something.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could be bad news. And like I said,
Yeah.
you're not going to get the points.
And you got to think, I mean, most fighters, I mean, when we say this and talk about this, I mean, they're kind of probably the same thing, right? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of times that they're dropping their hands, they're
Oh,
gassed out,
yeah.
like everything else. So sometimes it probably is, like you said, you have a game plan going in, and then your opponent just starts like throwing literally haymakers. I mean, but like throwing them, and now you just maybe have to just change the way that you thought they came out the first time,
See, I think that would be where you're at the advantage because your competitors going up against people that are professionals that teach them a certain way, maybe like that technical way. Your uniqueness and your unorthodox way of fighting, he's not looking at that every day. He's looking at someone who's going to
Correct.
go, this vanilla style, like this is how a punch is thrown. This is what you got to look out for. If you're going in there and you're doing things that technically don't happen, and this is just a one bout, this isn't something that you're going to go into pros or anything like that with. He's not going to anticipate that. You're going to
No.
throw his game off. If he's looking at stuff, he's like, oh my God, I've never seen an uppercut thrown that way, or I've never seen
Yeah.
someone lead in at me or take a punch like that. They can't prepare for you. So I think that's definitely at your advantage.
I mean,
to
your
be able-
uppercut's strong, and you said you throw you're righty, right? When you
Yeah.
fight, are you equally strong with your left if you throw an uppercut or throw a punch?
I am. That's the thing. That's
Wow,
what's
so
good.
I
there's
mean
your
that's
hidden secret
really
right there, buddy.
tough. Okay.
Yeah.
So like you got to think of it. Your cross is your power hand, right?
Yeah.
Because, in your stance as a righty, I'm boxing righty. I throw, a couple jabs. You might throw a feint, not even just a fake, right? And he might drop and you throw something different. But now my jab is technically not my power hand because of my stance. I'm boxing righty, but my
Mhm.
jab is stronger because I am a lefty.
Yeah.
And then my right, maybe it might not be as powerful, but I'm boxing righty. So that's technically the power hand.
So could
I'm the
you
same exact
technically
way.
change your stance
You
throughout
can.
fighting, like at any point during the match, like a
Correct.
bazillion
Yes.
times? Okay.
So the kid Ramon did that to me and I was lost because I
Yeah.
was boxing him. He's boxing righty. I'm boxing righty. And then all of a sudden he switched to boxing lefty. And I'm like, wait, I can't get into this dude now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, that's gonna
yeah.
be hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I write righty. My right hand I feels like a dominant hand, but in hockey I shoot lefty. I
Oh
play
wow.
baseball lefty. I hit lefty. I throw lefty. And but it's just so weird. Like, and it's the strangest thing is when I watch a baseball game and I watch someone go up lefty, it looks weird to me. But that's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
I see it. I'm like,
Correct.
their hands are upside down. Like that doesn't look right.
Now,
But
Yeah.
that's
can
how
you
I
do the
bet.
opposite, John? Can you like if you can you do the opposite?
So I'm not bad doing things with the right hand. Like I can throw okay. I can hold my own. I used to like playing wiffle ball. I used to go to
Yeah.
the other side of the plate and like I can hit okay.
Yeah,
I think I
yeah.
would have gotten better if I learned how to do that. But now, real quick off topic, music's the same way. I'm a drummer, and most drummers they play cross hand. I play open hand because I'm more ambidextrous. So my right hand leads. So every single time I would take like a lesson as a kid, like cross your hands. I'm like, no, it doesn't feel comfortable.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
so but it's crazy. All my whole life, they're like, you should have been a righty. You should have been a righty. I'm like, no, it's just not comfortable. So I feel
I
your
mean, it's
pain.
so unique though. I mean, in sports, like I see funny things on like Instagram sometimes of like the pitchers that have like the reversible gloves and
Oh,
they
yeah.
just
Yeah.
like keep changing their stance. And then they have somebody who can hit either way and they keep
Yeah.
changing their bat like in the same seat like cycle. And you're like, oh my God. But I mean, that's gotta be a skill set. I put that right up there and I've said this to people being able to what's that called? Ambidextrous? Is that like what it
Yeah.
is?
Ambidextrous. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be able to do that, like I find the equivalent of like knowing how to speak multiple languages. Like I think
Yeah.
anybody who can speak more than one language is just
It's
they're
it's
so
it's
smart.
technically
Like,
it's a way of manipulating your brain and tricking your brain
yeah,
into doing something backwards. If you ever see like a weather person on TV, what they're looking at when
good
it's a
point.
green screen behind them, they're looking at a screen backwards, and they
Hmm.
have to learn where they're pointing on the screen because they're watching themselves
I'm
a
so
mirror image.
bad at that, dude. I'm like
I
right
Yeah.
can't.
now,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, see, you're trying to do it right
like
now.
yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's all about teaching your brain where everything is like backwards, and you almost like reverse your brain for a second, and then it's like hard to even get out of that. But like when you said that, you're like, oh, I write righty, but I do this. I'm like, I thought I was one of the only ones that could do that, but it is crazy.
ah,
Yeah.
but that's got to be such a advantage for you going into that fight because you can fight your style both ways. Is your
Yeah.
fighter able? Is your opponent do that
He's
at all or
straight
no?
righty, straight
Okay,
righty.
so you are okay, good. Okay, that's good. Um, so talk about like, obviously leading up to the event, day of, I mean, do you have like an army coming? Is there gonna like do you have a lot of people that are coming out for this event? You selling tickets? Like how does that kind of stuff work? Maybe let our audience
So,
know a little bit how they could be involved if they wanted to be.
so I want to say I have a lot of people going because like I'll see like my fundraiser page, like the numbers getting updated, and there's a certain thing. It'll be like the total number from ticket sales because you get 100% of the ticket sales towards your fundraising goal.
Ah, cool.
And
Okay.
if I was to divide that number by like the cheapest seat,
Hmm.
I would say it's around 20, 30 people.
Perfect.
And I know if everyone goes that said they were going, like I was just running a job for the last company I worked for like the last close to a year. And I
Yeah.
had like 20 something guys working under me. And they all want to go just out of the simple fact, like, we're gonna see you get your ass beat. And
They want to watch him get his bell rung. Poor guy.
so I don't really know. It's hard to tell. I know there's a lot of people like obviously my wife, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-laws, a lot of guys from work.
Will your
I
wife be
believe
animated? Will we know who she is like right away? Like when you get in the ring,
probably,
like,
yeah,
like yeah.
probably. Yeah.
She's from Medford.
So
She's gonna be screaming obscenities to the other fighter. I
yeah.
I'm from we're all
Tripping
from
the
Medford.
opponent
Yeah,
going down the aisle. Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah.
as far as like the audience and obviously I'm gonna post this when it's done and you're gonna post it and I'm gonna
Yeah.
tag people, you're gonna tag people. there is on Haymakers for Hope, the website, they list all the events, and then if you click on like the Boston event, um, there's fighter pages, and on the
Mhm.
fighter page, there's a section donate to Boxer. But as far as the tickets go, when you go on Ticketmaster, there's a link on the website as well to buy tickets. You can't even buy a ticket unless you put the last name of a fighter in because they're locked.
Yep,
So
yep.
like that's how they know like the proceeds are going towards my fundraising goal because they'll unlock the seat under your last name so that you can put in Thompson, for example, for me. So you go on the fighter page, go to buy tickets, and then you'll go type in Thompson, my last name with a capital T, it has to be capital T, and then it'll unlock the tickets, and then that's how they know who the ticket was bought for.
Okay.
But
Yeah, so
yeah, so
send us like whatever you have too. Like if there's any links or whatever, we can definitely post on our page or anything that you post, just tag us in it, like in your story or tag us the post, and we'll obviously share it in our story or collaborate with you if you want us to. But obviously we have a good following, so we'd love to help out where we can too.
yeah, no, I definitely do that. So now, I mean, obviously you're asking me questions and I'm answering, but so if you want to talk about the biggest thing that I struggled with
Yeah.
was my coach halfway through it, we had to enter our weight every Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we were like at the 4 month mark. He's like, dude, you haven't lost a pound. And I'm like, I don't know how. Like, I definitely changed. Like, I drink a lot of soda and I
Yeah.
haven't drank like next to any soda. And I eat a lot of candy. As you can see, I have bags of candy right here. And like I changed my ways big time. So like my coach was like, listen, you're gonna jot down everything you eat, what was on it, the weight of it, and your liquid intake for a week. And I did this and I messaged it to him. And his response was, you're a fat FUCK. I don't know how you're 300 pounds.
Oh
And
my God.
so I said, well, Eric, what am I gonna do? Like, I need to lose some weight. And he goes, listen, you're gonna eat a turkey wrap and you're gonna eat steak. That's all you're gonna eat. So I did that hard for like a month and I was dropping like 2 pounds a week.
Yeah.
And so I'm down to 195 now. I started at 205. And the kid that I'm fighting is like at 210 right now. And I don't think he's lost anything. So basically I don't have to cut weight anymore. So hence the reason why I have a bag of candy right there. So
You do
now I'm
your
kind of
weigh in and
just
you're just like crushing like steak and like everything to get you all loaded up. I mean that's funny because what like but do you feel like you notice? I mean, even if you didn't lose the weight per se, did you feel like you were noticing a difference in your body at least? Like, or were you just like
my
mind
cardio for
blown?
sure. My
Yeah,
cardio for sure. I was
yeah,
noticing that like it was getting easier as I got deeper into the training and everything. Like, for example, like keeping your hands up. I
yeah,
was having a tough time with that. And then like, believe it or not, we start every time we're down the gym, we start with 3 2-minute rounds of jump roping
yeah.
and just like to get the blood flowing or whatnot. And I can remember my first day down there. I'm like, we used to jump rope in elementary school and stuff, whatever.
Right, right.
And
Hated those
jump
days.
roping for 2 minutes is like, it's not easy. And it's not easy to jump rope in general.
No.
So like that was hard. But like the biggest thing that was the hardest for me was definitely the diet. That's been hard, but I'm over that now. You know, we're what, 17, 18 days away now.
Yeah.
Um,
You got to
and
get
the
through like 2 weeks of it, right? I feel like I'm sure when you eating steak and turkey, like after a week, you're like, great. But I always felt like week two of a diet is like, oh, I gotta do this all over again. And it's like you
it's
feel like you
terrible.
accomplished something in a week, but then you realize you gotta do it again and again and
Yeah.
again and again. And it's a
So
lot.
my biggest thing, and I owe my wife's the real rock star behind this whole thing. So like I'm going to work, I'm leaving the house at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm working usually overtime too. And I literally bring my bag with me to work. I'm going straight to the gym. I'm not getting home till like 8 9 o'clock at night. She's there in the morning, 3 kids, drop off, breakfast, sports. Like my kid is in 3 sports right now. My youngest is starting t-ball. The baby is like always with her. He's not in daycare or nothing. And I mean, she could tell because she's starting to get tired of it. Like now that
Yeah.
we're getting close to the end, like without her, I didn't even know how I would be able to do this. Like, who's gonna watch the kid? Like, there were a
Right.
couple times I brought the kids with me to the gym,
Yeah.
and which I kind of wanted to anyway, just so they can see like when you work hard for something, you can accomplish something,
Yeah, it's such a
which that
bigger
was
dad goal, right? Yeah.
correct. And yeah, so my wife, I owe a lot of credit to her for the sacrifices she took for me to be able to do this. But it's a lot. Like, so I went on a job that downtown Boston, and I'm not paying $60 a park. So one day I decided, let me ride my bike.
Yeah.
So I rode my bike from Medford to Cambridge Street, like right by MGH. But
Yep.
it took me like down through Arlington, and then I took a left, like going towards like I want to say is it Davis Square or something?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
And I went. It's basically if I went down this road straight all the way, it brought me over the Longfellow to Cambridge Street. So
Yeah.
I did that. I rode the bike to work. It was awful. It was freezing out, but I had all my gear on. I had my hard hat. I had my boxing bag. So then I worked my full 8 hours, and I'm like, all right, now I got to drive to Somerville on the bike to practice. And
You're like Mike
I-
Tyson's Puncho. You're like little Mac riding his bike with his
oh, it was
manager. Like,
awful. It was awful. So like I never did that again. But like there's been times like I started taking the train. It's the cheapest way. It's like $3 to go from Medford into North Station.
yeah.
So then I'd come home, be with the kids real quick because now I'm, out early. I can spend a couple hours with the kids. Then I got to go to boxing. I'm hopping on the subway. I'm hopping on the commuter rail, and it's just like all these like different events that led to like making training harder for me.
Yeah.
Is like now I'm in my mind like, all right, fight night's getting close. I'm not going into this ring and losing this fight after everything I went through during training. And like the way I look at it, like the training gets hard. It gets hard, of course. Like you're going from like couch to 5K, so to speak.
Yeah.
And in the back of my mind, I keep saying there's kids that are sick battling this disease. My mother battled this disease for 3 years. If they can do that, I can't be complaining about how hard it is for me training boxing. I have to like mind over matter type thing. Like,
Yeah.
you know, pain is a sign of weakness. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna like I might get like I got clocked right on my chin. So like the headgear we wear, this is all that's open. Like so it's like
Because I
this.
see so many times like adjust. I feel like boxers are always adjusting and going like this
It's a
after they
pain.
get put
They're
Yeah.
out.
always
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it moves on you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like I'd rather fight without it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's the way I look at it. Like I'm not gonna back down to anything. I'm not gonna show like you might hit me good, but I'm not gonna like make it look like you're gonna have a poker face, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like you just cleaned my clock. I'm not letting you know that you cleaned my clock, and I'm just gonna keep coming forward. Like I want to be applying the pressure, not getting the pressure applied to me.
Yeah.
It's the way I
Let
look at it.
let me ask you this. I mean, just hypothetically, I don't know what your plans are after this as far as in the future. Let's say you walk in this ring, you come in your entrance, killer entrance, you knock this dude out. You knock this dude, they call the fight, you win. Like, do you think you'd want to fight again? Like, would you think that you're the
So,
type of person who will trigger you to be like, I gotta do it again?
well, so have maybe 2 months into it, I'm in my head like, this is awesome. Like, I
Yeah.
love this. I'm getting in such good shape. And like, you meet all these good people that you're training with down the gym. Like, there's a couple people that are like on the verge of going UFC down at Citadel. They got some big fights coming up for Cage Titans and whatnot.
Damn.
And like, you think of Golden Gloves, right? That's like the next step for an amateur fighter.
Yeah.
And I asked both my coaches, I was like, dude, do you think I could do the gloves? And they're like, well, let me ask you this. They go, how do you think you're doing training wise for this? Because you're going to have to train 10 times harder to do the gloves. And I want to do the gloves. I really do. I
Yeah.
want to, if we can make it happen with like the at home life with the kids, being married, being a husband, being a father,
It's a lot.
working. If I can somehow manage that schedule to train enough for it, I would like to do the gloves to say I did the gloves.
Oh, good for you,
And
man.
to
That's
see and
good
to see where
goals.
and to see where I would stand, it's a challenge. Like I picked up playing golf because it's a hard game and it's a challenge.
Right.
It's a very frustrating game, but like I like things that challenge me. Like I'm the type of person. So my company that I worked for before for 5 years, I worked for demolition. There's a lot of cutting concrete. They were outsourcing the work and paying big money. They came up
Mhm.
to me and they said, "Hey, listen, if we send you to training to cut concrete, would you be interested?" I said, "Absolutely." And I loved it because you're not always cutting the same kind of thing. Everything's different. Like, yeah, you might always be cutting concrete. It might always be 2 feet thick, or it might not be, but it's a challenge. Like, I remember there was some times, we're making picks up to 150,000 pounds. The government center garage. I'm sure you guys have all seen that demolition
Oh,
going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where I lived for the last 5 years.
yeah.
And I just liked it because, like, my coach, for example, my super one day, we had to take the big main girder out that went across Congress Street. And by rights, it should be done with a wire saw. I don't know how to use a wire saw. And he came up to me one day and he's like, listen, he goes, we have a weekend shutdown. Do you think you can do this? I said, well, if you get me the right equipment, like the size blades to be able to cut through 2 feet of concrete, I think I can do it.
Mhm.
And we banged it out in a weekend. We did it without a wire saw. And like that's the type of things is like, if you present me with a challenge, especially if you don't have faith in me, because like the project manager was like, oh, just pay pro cut. We're not going to have him do it. I want to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
So
I get
that's
that, man. And that's a mentality. I mean, when we have people on this podcast, coaches, athletes, when we cover teams, there is that mentality, that consistent of like what separates, like we say, like good athletes that we cover versus like great athletes that we cover. And it is kind of that mentality of like, oh, you say I can't do it, or like you want to prove people wrong. I mean, honestly, man, good for you. Like if you can make that work, make that work. If you want to chase it, chase it. Like I do it with this. Like I
yeah,
balance so much. Like, and I don't try to talk about myself, but I have multiple jobs on top of this, on top of having my kids all the time. And like, it's a
yeah,
lot and it could weigh on you. And the scheduling's not easy and there's ups and downs to it. And there's days
oh
like
yeah,
you mentioned, you called your wife to be like, I'm not doing this. I'm done. Like, there's
yeah,
moments I have of this too that life gets so difficult and overwhelming. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing this right? Can I be doing this more? Like, but that mentality of like, like I know me, like I know I'm gonna work, like I know I'm gonna
yes,
do it. Like people sometimes fool themselves and say that they want to do it and say they're gonna do it, but they know they're never really gonna do it, right?
correct,
Like, so if you know that you really can make it work and want to make it work, dude, go for it because I am telling you,
absolutely,
I do it with this. And it's I don't regret it one bit. Like I figure out the balance. I know that I sacrifice other areas of my life that maybe were important once upon a time, but aren't compared to my kids and my family and my life. So I don't mean to get on a soapbox about that, but dude, you're doing it. You're doing it right
yeah.
now. You'll be able to figure it out. That's what I'll say to you. That's
Well,
If
I
this
mean,
if this is the only fight you have, you got to think about like the Rocky movie, his last fight, the stuff in the basement, everything that brought you to where
Mhm.
you're going to be on May 8th, everything
yeah,
that happened, May 8th,
May
May 9th.
9th,
There
May
we go.
9th.
Just kidding. I knew that. May 9th, everything that leads to May 9th, everything, the training, the biking, the walking, the everything you've done, that stuff's gonna come out, and you're just gonna just let it out. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. The fact
Correct.
of what you're doing and why you're doing it is the most important reason. Once you step in that ring, you've accomplished everything.
Yeah.
Once you've
Correct.
stepped in that ring, and as soon as you hear that first bell, you've done it.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
so a lot of guys I work with, like obviously, you work with these guys, you see them more than your family, you bullshit, you joke, whatever, and everyone's like, dude, why are you doing this? And you don't know how to fight. You're not strong enough. You're not built for this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, one, do you have the balls to step in the ring at 36 years old with 3 kids and never boxed before in your life? Do you have the balls to
Nope.
do that?
Nope.
And then the way I look at it, so like obviously every fight is different, every punch is different, whatever. But like, and I think it was Tyson that said it. He goes, everyone's gonna plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Right.
So, there's those people that are gonna fold when they take a good shot. And like, I'm not that guy. You can
Yeah.
punch me, and I'm gonna take that punch and I'm gonna use it as ammunition to come back at you with something better.
Yeah. And that, I mean, again, that's like in the coaching world, when you have kids that are
Can
like
teach that.
that are just, or you go against and you're like, this kid just keeps bringing it,
right?
like those are the worst. It's not the most athletic and it's just the toughest, like mentally and physically. And you're just like, that's the teams you hate to prep against. Those are the kids you hate to go against because you know that they're mostly tougher than probably most kids that you have on your team. And you can't even begin to explain that to your kids without insulting them and them taking it the wrong way. But you're just like, this kid is just different and we have no answer for it.
Yeah,
But I know before we jump off here, I know that you have like a ton of people that you want to thank and sponsors that have been
yes,
really supporting you throughout this process. And obviously, I want you to be able to give them their love here. It's like you said, it takes a village, and people
correct.
that support you and that are here for you. So I want to give you that opportunity to kind of
So
give you thank yous.
as I look at this list, I have 18 sponsors, whether they donated a little bit or a lot, it's the fact that they did it.
Hmm.
I'll just go down the list. So the first one is Unique on the Go Mobile Detail, and this was a couple that I worked with that, you know, immigrated to the country, and their mobile detailing blew up. They're like in 7 airports. They're killing it now.
Wow.
They were a big donation. That's Sarah and Gil. Another one is where I take my kids and myself to get my hair cut. Eric's Barbershop. We go to the Melrose one, but they're in Marblehead as well. They did a good donation. This one, which I kind of thought was a toss up, even asking him if he would even respond or not. Childhood, I would say friend. We grew up in the same neighborhood. I went to different high school, but good kid. He opened his own electrical business. Rufus Luff Electric. He made a nice donation. Beyond podcast, everything you're doing,
Yeah.
putting me on the air and whatnot. Obviously, Haymakers for Hope. I can't say anything bad about them. Like, it's been a great ride, very professional. The whole thing, I think, my numbers might be wrong, but they started in 2011 and they've raised, I think it's over $40 million since they've been
Wow.
doing this.
Wow.
Wow. I didn't
Um,
realize that. Wow. That's a lot.
yeah, they've killed it. So the next one is a couple. I know the wife, the husband, they own New England Outdoor. They do custom built structures, gazebos,
Ooh.
garages, sheds and stuff like that. That was a huge donation, and that they were very, very generous in what they did. This
God,
one,
that's like what I want for my yard is like that's my next big thing. That is like
yeah,
my
well,
next
now you
big
know
thing.
now
Now,
you know
dude,
where to
now
go.
I know somebody. There
New
we
England
go.
Outdoor. This one, which is kind of surprising to me because you got to go through loops because it's union. I had first of all, I have a bunch of childhood friends that are firefighters in Salem, Mass. And I had a safety guy on my job site that he did this on top of being a firefighter. He worked for an outside safety company. So the Salem Fire Department made a nice donation to me. This one goes without saying. We already talked about it. Jim's Market, B Boys in the morning, no
Yep.
questions asked, wrote the check, just did it.
Justin's the
Uh,
man.
yeah. CB Fit, Chris Belos, he
Yeah.
took me on. That was my first day training with him, and he's still there by my side through everything. Uh, Citadel Mixed Martial Arts, downtown Crossing. The amount of time he's been doing fighters for Haymakers for like 7, 8 years, and to
Yeah.
donate all that time to take in someone that knows nothing about the sport.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I don't want to single anybody out. So Eric Grossman, he owns it. He's the guy that I'm with, but he also has another fighter and coach down there, Lionel. Lionel's been huge. That replaced Eric when he couldn't do it. You mentioned wiffle ball. I used to play in a professional national wiffle ball league,
Oh
and
Whoa,
wow.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
one
whoa, whoa. Let's freeze and hold right there for a second. Tell
okay,
me more about this.
Coming from a
okay,
guy, I live across the street from my old wiffle ball field, my parents' yard. My dad still has the in-ground bases in the field. He won't rip
wow.
them up just because of memories. He's like, I'll leave those in there.
So, uh,
Awesome.
I was in high school, and one of my teammates who's younger than me was like, dude, I need someone to play wiffle ball with us this weekend. And I'm like, okay, cool. I used to play wiffle ball across the street from my house with like college kids when I was like 12.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I went and played, and it's like fast pitch wiffle ball. It's called Golden Stick Wiffle Ball League. It's still around, but like it's kind of gotten way bigger, crazier. The talent's crazy now. I don't play anymore, but just to keep it short and simple, my first national tournament I played in, there was 20 teams. It was in Hamilton, Mass at Patton Park. There was teams from like 7 different states, people from as far as Vegas. Like we played a team, the Las Vegas Whifflers, I think their team was. They were all Las Vegas police officers.
Wow.
Uh, we made it to the national championship. We
Sounds like
played the
dodgeball. They should make a wiffle ball
Seriously.
movie.
yeah, so we played the usual suspects, which were the previous national champions. They're like New York police officers, and one of the kids, uh, oh my God, I can't remember his name. Ryan something. He was like the stud. He has his own business now out in New York. And needless to say, I won 2 national championships. and I was
Wow.
MVP of
You got
the first
rings? You got
tournament.
trophies? You got anything? You got
I
that should be
I
in the
got some
background.
plaques. I got
Actually,
some
were
plaques.
you on the bump? Were you pitching?
So you want to hear pitching? So
Yeah, I do.
I was there, pitcher that pitched when the games meant something. Like, cause
Oh,
you
wow.
play Saturday, Sunday. So we actually ended up losing a game. And they're like, dude, you need to pitch the rest of the way out. And I threw Saturday, Sunday, 30 and a half innings, fast pitch wiffle ball.
That's the
And
Evaldi right there.
How
That's Evaldi.
nasty? How nasty's your stuff?
So my biggest thing, and they would all make fun of me. They used to yell, one pitch, one pitch. I threw a screwball that if you were a righty hitter, it would be hitting you in the face and hit the low and away corner.
And they're
And
Could
just
you
lugging
switch
it.
back and forth pitching?
no, I can't do anything righty in the athletic world. I can't. So, but to make a long story short, we were in the national championship against the previous national champions, and you go to do a double play, you make the flip to second base, and you got to at least hit the backstop, or it's considered an error. In our infield, my closest friend, Brian DiNapoli in the wiffle ball world, he's a stud. He still plays to this day, had surgeries and everything just to make sure he could still compete. Made a bad throw. They scored a run. So, and I was awful at hitting. I could never hit. We
I
come
mean, you
up, so
must
it's
ankles must get broken sometimes on some of the throws, how they dip it or go
oh,
out.
it's
Or
crazy.
yeah.
So we're losing 1-0 going into the last inning. I'm facing the phenom of wiffle ball, and I hit a game tying home run, and I never hit. And it's crazy because they're videotaping, right? And it was like, what was it? The Carlton Fisk home run when he's like this.
Oh yeah, waving it. Yeah.
Literally, that's what I was doing. And they literally went to the camera to make sure it was a fair ball. And it was a moonshot. It was a bomb. So then we end up going to extra innings. My buddy DiNapoli hits a walk-off. We ended up winning 2-1, I want to say it was. And then we won the next year. And then I went for a third year, and there was a kid that was like 12 years old. This kid, Haverty, he still plays. He's a stud. He was like 12 years old. I was like 30. And the kid hit like 2, 3 home runs off me, pitched against me, and I was done. I was done. But yeah, that was the wiffle ball.
Check out
So
and is real quick. Check out the MLW.
MLW, a
When
lot
you
of the dudes play. Jordan
Oh
Robles.
my god, you should see these. Like this kid's built a field. Like it's got to be his parents' house or something. And they got lights. They got the
Oh yeah,
fence.
it's
They got
sick.
dugouts. They got everything. And they put so much money into it. They televise it. You watch the games live. They got like a
Yeah.
camera crew at someone's
Yep.
house. Like it's
I mean, how
it's
funny is
unbelievable.
that?
Oh
If
man.
you have any spare time, look up this kid, Jordan Robles, Robles. The kid is a freak. So
Double
he was a young kid when I won my first national championship. And if I remember, I'm pretty sure he asked me for my autograph on a wiffle ball. Like, and now this kid, he's the freak of the league. So, anyways, that brings me to my next sponsorship.
Yes, let's finish that.
Dave,
Sorry.
Dave Fisher Shipping. He owns a shipping company. He was one of the OGs in the wiffle ball league. Then a guy that I don't even really know, but he was a foreman at the company that I worked for. He owns a bunch of businesses, so he made a nice donation. He owns La Vida Dolce in Tewksbury, which I hear is incredible.
Yes, I know exactly where that is. Yeah, nice little spot. Yep, I know.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then he also owns a demo company, North American Demo. So I want to, single them two out. My kids' daycare place, Launch and Learn in Medford and Winchester Woodland Line, they
Yep.
made a nice donation. Is a local Salem kid. He started a van, like a Sprinter van that is all decked out in his sneakers O2 logo. And I think it was to sell sneakers. And I think he sells a lot of like apparel, like wicked nice stuff. And he's now became like an exotic snack guy. Like he's selling like exotic snacks that you can't get.
Yeah.
And he's actually doing really good. He deserves a
Hey.
nice shout out. A coworker of mine just bought a laundry business, wash and fold, Manny's Laundrette, and I believe it's Dorchester. He made a nice donation. Evan Papson got a nice little business. Another one of my coworkers, he's a local 4 operator, Devin Hobbs. He opened a business, Hobbs and Son Service Incorporated. He does like lot clearing, trees. He made a really nice donation. And then the last one on my list is my local 22 Laborers Union. They made a nice donation. So all those people deserve all the
Got a lot of
respect
support, man.
and appreciation. Yeah. So like I didn't think I was gonna get anywhere near this, but Other than that, I posted the QR code on I'm now on a new job site. I'm with a general contractor, and the superintendent allowed me to post them on like the porta potties, the gang boxes and whatnot. And I think I've gotten like $300 or more from that. So like just people on the job that don't even know me from a hole in the wall, just scanning the QR code and donating because of the cause.
Nice, man. It's nice to know when people have your back and support you. And
Yeah,
sometimes you don't realize that. And it's nice when you see that or you see a name pop up that you're like, oh damn, like wow, what a solid person for doing that. Like you learn a
correct.
lot about people with that stuff. So that's nice too when you kind of see, like you mentioned your village a little bit, who kind of that maybe includes that you didn't realize before. But listen, we appreciate you coming on here today. I think what you're doing is admirable, and I know I probably speak for John when I say this too. Like being a dad and doing this, like to me, that like we're bonded in that sense. Like we're dads, like so I understand the grind that goes into it and the sacrifice of not maybe always making everything or being there. And you mentioned your wife is a big contributor to making sure that all of this is possible for you. But with that being said, there is the mental aspect of this that you are also battling with all of that in mind too. So what you're doing is great. Your cause is great. And as you're continuing the training, when things do get difficult, remember who you're fighting for, who's supporting you. And I think that will obviously continue the drive that you have to get you to the finish line. And obviously, hopefully, knock a dude out. Like I mean, it's friendly. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
mean it like that, but like, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine covering you. Is your manager super animated? Like Danny, who we cover, is like so animated.
Yeah,
I
he's the
love it.
man. I
Like,
really love watching that dude.
um,
So my coach Eric, the guy who owns Citadel,
yeah,
is like, for example, like the whole me keeping my hands up.
yeah,
Every time he'll be like videotaping or just watching us and coaching us and correcting us, he'll just punch me in the head when I drop my hand. Just
yeah,
punch me in the head. He's like the nitty gritty, like tell you how it is. Not gonna kosher anything. He's gonna go right to the point. If you're a bitch, you're a bitch. If you suck, you suck.
yeah.
And
It's
then
yeah, no
Chris
sugarcoating.
Chris Belost is just like the laid back, chill dude that like he's just there and he's
Yeah,
great and he very good in the personal training world. I should not single this out, but I have to say this. Anyone that's listening or that's gonna see this, if you're in this area, he does have a new client special that he'll let you come in for 3 sessions for $150. And he has a nice, beautiful setup on right across from Somerville High School.
okay, yeah. I mean,
So
we're
you'll
familiar
see
with that.
me
We've
fit.
covered a few things there. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, and I follow him on Instagram. I definitely follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But we are excited. So May 9th, we'll be there. We have fun aspects. I'll talk to you off here a little bit as far
Yep.
as what I'm thinking about coverage wise and some fun things that we could do. But we are honored, we are excited. Appreciate you wearing the shirt today. That was awesome to see right out the gate. And man, we wish you the best of luck. We're rooting for you hard, obviously.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So, from Beyond Podcast, I'm your host, Anthony Petralis. We have a little bit this week is not as busy. School is super busy for me, but after this, we have a lot of good high school athletes lined up. We have some Mass Pirate athletes lined up, so we are going to be rocking and rolling here, and we're closing in on episode 150. We had a huge goal
Wow.
in last July. We said, and I said this to John after we taped our 100th episode at AOA Studios. I said my goal next year is to get us halfway to 200. Like that was the goal of ours to set because I wanted people to be like, damn, we're doing 100. They're at 150 already. They were just at 100. Like, so we're closing in. We're getting middle of April. We got about this will be now 14 more episodes to get there, but I think we can do it. And so that's a big goal for us too. But we have a fun week coming up. We got some great coverages coming up, some cool stuff. We're going to be covering the Boston Glory Ultimate Frisbee, professional Ultimate Frisbee
Oh,
this week at
wow.
Hormel Stadium. So
Oh,
we're
nice.
super excited about that. But Zach, we wish you the best, man. We're here for you. Anything we can do from then till now, till that fight, we are there doing it for you. So just let us know, and we appreciate you, man.
Awesome.
All
All
All right,
right.
right. I
get him,
appreciate you
buddy.
guys as well.
Yeah. So from Beyond Podcast, I'm your host, Anthony Petralis, John Sensabar, Zach Thompson. Till next time.